The Shark Deck.
Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Philadelphia Weekly. They've been crushing it with comedy articles lately. They caught up with Dave Attell. Dave said, anyone who is part of his show gets it. It's cool to just let it all out and roll. There's a lot of sex jokes and racial jokes that if you didn't see the crowds laughing, you'd think they didn't get. Our audiences get us, though. They want us to go there, and if they don't, they'll tell us immediately. At a recent show, Attell joked about the glees and horrors of eating a Philadelphia cheesesteak and his potential for having sex with local soft pretzels. To say nothing of his fondness for Philadelphia brand cream cheese. Dave Attell then, spoilers, riffed on the dementia-driven memory loss of his mother, sex with people his own age, a pandemic filled with nothing but Game of Thrones and House of Dragon bloodshed, hardcore porn, the wilding out of Boy Scouts and their scoutmasters, and cutting down his own appearance with racial and terroristic self-references. Philly Weekly says, no race, gender, or sexual orientation was spared during Attell's stand-up and no PC rules were observed. If Attell was concerned about any level of cancel culture, he didn't seem to care. He knows that faithful audiences attend his stand-up comedy shows because they know exactly what to expect, ill savagery. Plus, as a master crowd worker, master is an understatement. If you ever have the opportunity to see Dave Attell in person, go see him. I remember seeing him at the Vegas Comedy Festival, and I think he did nothing but crowd work and crushed. As a master crowd worker, Attell never let a heckle go by uncut, or a nearby front row couple go without a scolding or scathing remark. Attell told Alibi magazine, what I do is what I do, and I've been doing it for years. I'm an old school comic, and I know that in today's time, there's a lot of trigger words, but I just go for the joke. People put an importance on comedy, and you see people tweeting about their outrage, and for me, it's not my scene. My audience can take a joke. What I would say about my audience is that they drink. They can take a joke, and they tip big. They just want to hear funny. They don't want to be preached to. They don't want a life lesson. They just want to have a good time. At the end of the day, I think most of them leave pretty happy, and that's who I play to. I listen to the audience. If they groan and moan, that means I need to fix the joke. And if they get up and walk out, then I usually know that joke needs a definite tune-up. But there are definitely some people who are not used to live performance comedy. They watch it on YouTube or are big fans on Twitter. That's a totally different experience. You're kind of in a zone, part of a group, and present. For some people, it's getting a lot harder now because of the technical world that we live in. Great stuff from Attell and Philadelphia Weekly. The Guardian spoke with Bert Kreischer. He told the story about he originally got turned down for a gun because his paperwork didn't check out. Bert said, I started laughing hysterically because I thought, how great is it that our system actually works? I feel safer knowing that I can't get a gun. But then the gun dealer looked at him seriously and said, oh, you're getting your effing gun. I didn't feel so good about that anymore. The Guardian writes there's a macho vulnerability to Bert Kreischer that may explain why he's connected so successfully with male audiences. Another possible reason is his friendship with Joe Rogan. Kreischer won't be drawn in on the Joe Rogan backlash. You get the sense that he's all too aware of how popular Rogan is. Bert says, I have to credit Joe with sharing me with his fans. He adds that his appearances on Rogan's podcast gave his own act a big pop. And although Rogan's audience is overwhelmingly male, Kreischer is keen to stress that his own audience is different. He says, my demographic is overweight dudes with beards who like smoking weed with wives that are a tad bit hotter than they deserve. 417 Mag asked David Koechner, hey, David Koechner, do you get something different from doing stand-up comedy than you do doing improv? Koechner said, I guess it's just you, right? You get that experience of you and the audience at communion as opposed to your group of friends creating this thing together out of thin air. It's the same in that it's live performance, which I do love and I do crave. I guess I don't really intellectualize that in my head or dissect it. To me, it's just a joy. I love doing it. I'm privileged that anyone would come and see it, you know? His advice for aspiring performers, this is an interesting answer. He said, read these books, Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. Then you buy the audiobook by Stephen King called On Writing. Whether you're a writer or not, it's talking about the artist process. Then the third one is The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. Those are brilliant minds, and if you can't get what you need from those books, there's no advice I could give other than this. Get on stage, be on stage. That's it. If you're not on stage, then you're not in it. David Koechner, is there any one experience in your career that you remember thinking, I made it? Koechner said, I'll tell you the first thing I did. I went to visit Second City because I'd read a lot of books about Second City and bios of certain actors, and I realized a lot of people from SNL started at Second City. So me and my buddy drove up to Chicago. I don't even know if we had a place to stay. You're talking about no planning. We'd go to Chicago and go to a show at Second City, and I just loved it. Then I noticed when we were leaving, there was this big poster that advertised classes, and I was like, oh, that's how you get here. I had no idea. People have to remember this is pre-internet. I saved money to go back that summer to do the concentrated course. So when you say, when did I know? Those 2 weeks. When I took that class, I remember thinking, yeah, this is for me. From JTA.org, Jewish comedian Modi Rosenfeld, a mainstay for Orthodox audiences, is gay, so what? Good headline there. Mordecai Rosenfeld insists that the recent Variety article in which he reveals he's married to a man is not a coming out piece. Rosenfeld goes by the nickname Modi and said, "This article is showing that I'm a veteran comedian and I'm married to a man. That's it. Doesn't feel like a coming out piece to me because I've been out." Although, until recently, his routine contained little whiff of his personal life. In fact, some of his jokes suggested to his fans he had a wife named Stacy. Stacy, from the bits, is in fact his manager and husband, Leo. Rosenfeld told the Jewish Telegraphic Agency, "Even though some religious organizations bring me in and people are coming to see me, I understand I'm under the umbrella of a certain demographic that I need to respect and know the audience. If you put me in front of an audience, I give them what they need, and they don't need gay material. They need the material for that audience. But when I'm on the road doing my material, I can do whatever I want. They came to see me." The Variety article focuses on Rosenfeld's belief that it's possible to merge his Orthodox and gay identities more publicly. He is a sometimes cantor at the modern Orthodox synagogue he attends in the East Village, Modi says. "The prayers are done in an Orthodox way, and somehow gays have been attracted to come to this synagogue. We have a whole group of gay people, and we have a whole group of trans people. Welcome." The rabbi's thing is, no one should ever feel bullied. No one should ever feel excluded. Be you. Be a proud Jew, and be you. I like that article a lot. Gerard Money, pronouns he, him, has a show called White Girl Wasted. Screensters says, hailing from Perth, Gerard possesses a manic style of observational comedy that has kept him in the comedy game for a decade. Gerard says, "I called my show White Girl Wasted because I live the white girl wasted life drinking seltzers. The morning you wake up after having too many seltzers, one does not get a hangover. There's nothing in them. Because I drink seltzers, my nickname at work is White Girl Wasted, and I thought, great show title, I'm going to use it. My show is about an ADHD comedian doing a fringe show, so it's not written around one theme, but a series of jokes put together to make the show." And from 6abc.com, it's always PUNNY in Philadelphia. That's a new ongoing stand-up comedy competition pitting the area's best and worst puns and one-liners against each other. Aaron Schwartzbaum is the producer, MC, and host of It's Always PUNNY. He says, "The kind of crowd that's into puns is narrower than other comedy, but the people who are here are really into it. They know what they're getting into, I hope. It's a bunch of really dedicated people, and I'm really glad Helium made it all possible." I wish I had prepared a pun for the lockout, but I did not. So I'll just tell you, follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your shows. See you tomorrow. Travel is back. Let's put the pandemic behind us. Let's get back out there. Hi, I'm Johnny Mac. And on my podcast, which is called Travel is Back, I tell you about some places I've been and what I like to do when I get there. This show, Travel is Back, is travel for regular people. We're not flying first class. We're not going for Michelin stars. Throw your bags in the back of the car. Maybe we'll fly coach. We'll grab some food on the fly. We'll check out places like Chicago, Montreal, LA, Seattle, Vancouver, and occasionally somewhere more exotic like Iceland, which is awesome. Barcelona, Paris, Australia, also all awesome. Travel is Back is the name of the show. Follow it for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your shows. Travel is Back.